Welcome, low ego action heroes and phoenixes. I'm Debbie Levitt from Delta CX, and welcome to the Every Wednesday show. Ask Me Anything. And today it'll be Ask Us Anything because we'll be joined soon by Dr. Nick. But before we bring him in, just a reminder to everybody that you can ask your questions at dcx.to/q. They will come into my email. Sometimes they come in late, and I apologize for that. The first question we have today actually came in last week and somehow ended up in my spam folder and I didn't see it. So we're going to start with that question with my apologies to the person who asked it. But you are welcome to send in your questions, type them into the chat, or send them in anonymously. It'll eventually come into my email. And let's see, what else can I tell you? Don't forget to join our community. Our community is free. We've got Twitch and free Patreon and free Discord community that is active and growing. So always nice to see. So I'm going to get the first question ready. And while I do that, let's bring in our pal, Dr. Nick. Oh, and I also want to mention I'm on my phone hotspot today because our internet is out again. So I apologize if today's a little blippy, but I turned down the quality of the stream and hopefully we'll be okay. Dr. Nick, Happy New Year. How the heck are you?
Thanks. Happy New Year to you too. Yeah, all good. Business as usual. We are back to business. So yeah, same.
Yeah, for whatever that looks like. Hopefully 2026 is the year you come visit. No pressure.
Well, you know what? Try and find me a conference in Italy.
Ooh. Not a lot of tech conferences in Italy. This is just not technology central. This is more likely to be a fashion conference in Italy.
Well, then maybe. No, I've met some amazing Italian UXers.
They had to leave Italy to get a job.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, fair.
Oh, yeah. Okay. London, Berlin, Oslo. Yeah, I meet Italians all over the place. But you tend to have to leave Italy for a tech job because it's just not that big here.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. Oh, well. So I'm going to start with the first question we got. The type is microscopic, so I'm going to have to read it to everybody. But here we go. Let me read it out loud. This came in at the end of last week's show, and I didn't see it, so we can both speak to it. I haven't watched one of your lives in so long. I just saw it randomly now on my feed. It brings me back to 3 years ago at the beginning of my career. Your lives and content and Think Aloud helped me tremendously in my first job and projects. Thank you. So many thanks. No, thanks to you for watching. It also made me think now that I used to consume so much content around UX, always trying to improve and think and so on, like after work, still having energy for it. But since a year or so, I felt no fire for it anymore. Maybe it's been the shock of AI rising, or maybe I'm in a stable or more or less predictable project for 2 years now, or just a normal thing when not being a newbie anymore. Sometimes worried though that I'm somehow worse at my job because I'm less passionate about it. Nick, we had this question come up last week, and I think this person might have been adding to it, and we just didn't see their question in time. Someone had asked, how do you stay passionate about UX? Of course, that's a leading question. It assumes you are still passionate about UX, but so I'll ask you the double-barreled question. Are you still passionate about UX, and how do you stay passionate?
That's a really timely question because I think I was in the kitchen or the shower and I kind of you have these just kind of thoughts. It has crossed my mind repeatedly over the past year or two whether I really want to do research in UX because it's not the stuff that we are good at, right? Or, you know what I mean? It's not what I've spent my life becoming awesome at. So it forces you to ask the question, well, who am I if I'm not a researcher given the skill set and experience that I've got, right? So ultimately, for me personally, the passion that drives me is user needs in the products and the tooling that execute those user needs that make our lives better. And when I talk about making the world a better place, I don't mean some kind of grandiose, like revolution type stuff. I don't mean that. I mean in every tiny little interaction, every little friction point. that we make your life better just by getting rid of those friction points and making life just easier, right? So that's where my passion is I just want a futuristic super UX like Star Trek future instead of the neuromancer dystopian future Blade Runner style, which we're running headlong into and sprinkling catalyst on it, liberally. So yeah, long answer, but how do I stay passionate is that my focus is always on that. There's something I do want to add that though to the question that was asked that was more specific, because what the asker was saying is that I haven't got as much appetite for learning like as I used to, and I totally get that, and that's normal in my humble opinion, right? When you're new to something, like whether it's learning to play tennis or guitar or you know what I mean, or painting, you go ravenous, right? You want to inhale everything, and the passion is maxed out. Once you get up that hill, right, you're into more of a maturer kind of a phase. The real learning comes from doing. It's from the experience, right? The books aren't going to teach you this stuff because you know the book stuff. And this is why Debbie, all of us have been saying the same thing consistently for over a decade. You can't learn UX from a book. You got to learn it from experience. And
Yeah.
that doesn't change. AI ain't going to change that. AI ain't going to fix that. Ain't going to help that. So
Right.
you are still learning, but you're learning in a tacit, or what's the word? In a very practical, applied fashion. So applying principles and techniques and methods in different contexts. And that's what makes you a proper senior. So you're still doing great. It doesn't feel like a burning fire. It's like love. There are different forms of love. There are different forms of passion. It just doesn't feel like that kind of puppy love. You know what I'm saying? It's a more of a mature love right now.
We've matured into a new type of love. Yeah, I think we talked about staying passionate last week, and I always feel guided by my need to try to help people. These videos aren't seen by 32,000 viewers. Maybe they're seen by 100, but maybe that's 100 people that we helped. Maybe it's 20 people that we helped. I'm not going to get caught up in the numbers. I want to imagine that there's somebody out there who I or we have helped, and that's what tends to keep driving me. Um, and I continue to agree with you that there's so much about UX that is hard to learn from a book. You can learn some best practices, you can learn some concepts or Gestalt principles, psychological principles, but so much of it is learned from more experienced people and sometimes in flight when you're on that job. So to the person who asked the question, which I took off the screen because it was a lot of words on the screen there. Yeah, and Ventura says always better to have 20 watching and making meaningful change or 10,000 and no change. In today's age, it's so easy to feel distracted by numbers we forget about impact. And I agree. I'm not going to. To me, I measure by impact. Like if I can tell a little bit of a funny story, that's a little bit of a sidetrack here. We're in the process of editing my next book so that it can come out at the end of February. And one of my editors decided to take one of the pieces of advice I gave in the book and go try it at her job. Even though the book's not out, but she saw the advice, she edited the book, she went to her job, and she said they completely agreed with her and they're letting her do something different than they originally planned because she was able to talk them into it. And I was like, there, impact. We helped one person. My book is already a success. Even if I
No,
sell 7.5 copies, someone did something better at their job and won an argument or whatever you want to call it, thanks to that. So, yeah, I think
I like that someone user tested your book before release. That's cool.
oh no, I always have human editors on my book.
I
And,
know the editing's cool, but that was actually the applied bit, which is even
yeah,
cooler, kind of
yeah,
thing.
that's not the first time. When the editors worked on Life After Tech, many of them started doing the exercises because the book has 18 exercises, and some of them were doing the exercises, and a lot of them got stuck on the same exercise. And it was good to have a conversation with the editors about why is this exercise harder or a little upsetting, and it really helped us fix some things about the book. So yeah, you could say my editors don't just read the book and check for commas, they're play testing it. um,
Yeah.
which is great, which is why I always hope my books are better than average. But to the original question, go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, Debbie and I can say this is true. I'm going to put words into everybody's mouth because this is just a truism. You learn what to do from learning what not to do. Right? We all made mistakes, and those mistakes inform the decisions that we make every single day moving forwards. That's true of life, but it's particularly true when you're a practitioner doing stuff like a craft, a trade, which is what we are. Right? The more you do it, the more a plumber does their job, the better they are at fixing everything from a castle to a flat, or a mechanic from a tiny little car to a massive juggernaut, or what have you. Right? It's the same thing as a UXer. You just got to be able to apply things in different ways, and most importantly, make safe mistakes that don't get you fired or sued or bad things. That's really all it's about. I'm just good, so is Debbie, because we probably made more quality mistakes than everybody else. That's
Sure.
all.
I've
That's my excuse anyway.
absolutely, yeah, of course I've made mistakes. Of course I've done things wrong. Of course I've embarrassed myself. I mean, all of these things happen over the course of jobs and projects and careers. I'm not going to pretend that everything I've ever done has been completely perfect and everyone loved it and so on. And I think that you can learn. Positive things. You can learn techniques and approaches and steps and things like that, as well as learning through errors, learning through mistakes. And so there's so many dimensions through learning. The goal is to learn. One of the things that I point out in the new book is you do not want failure squared, which is you fail in some way and then you don't learn from it. You
Yeah,
fail and then you fail to learn. That's failure
yeah,
squared. That's the worst failure out there, but yet it's so common. Companies
yeah.
have product failures and A/B test failures and marketing failures and experiment failures, and then they don't find out why. What happened? And so there's a
They don't
lot of
want to.
failure squared out there.
Yeah, they don't want to. Right? It's a narrative world. Truth is the casualty. It's, optics over outcomes. It's all the usual cliches, but it's now absolutely standard. It's true. So if people don't want to learn from, one of the things I posted on LinkedIn a week or two ago, which I think is absolutely true, we used to talk about growth mindset an awful lot. And
Mm.
and as that question, the person that asked the first question said, go to after work activities, meetups and stuff. I ran a meetup. It was dead. The appetite for growth, for the growth mindset, isn't there anymore. I don't think. It's scary to me because people just kind of want to know what they know, and then just defend it like hell and put the optics up. Which that's really hard work and it's really stressful. And most importantly, you probably lose your job.
Yeah, and let's talk about what Ventura just posted. The
Oh,
comment on the
oh,
screen says something that I haven't heard in a while is continuous discovery, which I'm also going to take a little bit of a shot at in the new book, but milder than I normally do. But yeah, the idea of continuous discovery is definitely seems to be less popular now because you even have people who have popular product management courses on Maven, and I think they're taking shots at continuous discovery
yeah,
because they're saying, "Oh, we were sold the idea that if you just talk to 3, 4, 5 customers a week and ask them what are we missing, that you're going to unlock all of these secrets to product development and product strategy, and you're going to know what to build for your customers." And now that we're 5 years into that thinking, continuous discovery habits came out in what, 2017, 19? I don't even remember, but it's
yeah.
certainly been out long enough where we can look at it and go, did this work? Is this working for us? Maybe talking to 3 people is better than talking to 0, but if you're not talking to enough people or you're asking them the wrong questions, you could still be falsely validating things. You still could be causing current and downstream problems for your company. But I agree. Maybe it's because I blocked Teresa Torres on LinkedIn, but I am not hearing continuous discovery as much as I used to. I don't know what BOAS means. Pedro, please be.
Yeah,
I'm afraid of what that means.
yeah, me too, actually. Um,
Oh,
Yeah.
bias.
Yeah.
Thank
Anyway.
you. That makes
Oh,
more
fine.
sense.
I was putting
Like
together really very
boas,
bad acronyms like
snakes.
Debbie was. Yeah. um,
Bias.
um,
Agree. Sorry, Nick, go ahead.
no, I just lost my train of thought with the Boas thing. What were we just talking about?
Well, we were talking about Teresa Torres and how we don't
Oh,
hear about continuous discovery as much
yes.
as we used to.
So it's kind of a bit like UX UI and a lot of the other massive failures in our world, right? Everybody has nailed their colors to a mast, often on social media in public or in public in their organizations. And if you say, yeah, continuous discovery is crap, Teresa's wrong. What you're really saying is that I've been wrong for the past 2 years. All the arguments I've had were bullshit, and oops, I'm really sorry. And no one is going to be doing that. So what they do is quietly retreat and talk about the new thing with like a false flag strategy. Like, cooey, look, I've done a cool new thing over here. Don't look at the mess over here. It's all the way over here. Cooey.
I
And
have an
that's
article on
basically
that.
what happens.
If people want to read my article on this, just go to Google and write Levitt Medium Generic Book X. And basically, I wrote an article last year, maybe even the year before, about how so many business tech product strategy books basically say the last thing the last book said. They gave you a couple of new templates or canvases, but they all basically say the same thing. And companies love that, and teams love that because then they can imagine, see, we're doing it right. What we're doing, what the book says. Where we don't need discovery research. We know what users want. We're just going to jump straight to our hypothesis and design something. We don't have to usability test it. We'll just get it out there and A/B test it. And you get yet another generic book X that tells you to do the same thing, and you go, see, another popular book said that. We must be doing this right.
But okay, it's a book. Did anybody except me and you validate the author?
Thank you.
The
That's in my
author
new book as
is
well.
a journalist. The author has no experience or minimal or a long time ago and all of the above. So you're going to tell me that you're going to make multi-million-pound product and reputation decisions on something that somebody just thought up? Good luck with that and goodbye. End of story.
I'm
This is
totally
it.
with you. And it's something I bring up it's something I've been bringing up for many years. And I'm saying it again in my new book as gently but clearly as possible, which is it makes sense why so many people don't understand research. They don't understand the value of research. They
Yes.
think research is calling up three white guys and asking what we're missing because all the books they read said that, but none of those
And
books were
why we're
written
order
by
takers.
researchers.
Yeah. And why we're order takers. Why they're
Right.
trying to turn us into order takers. That entire mentality has come from Teresa Torres.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. And the problem is all of these authors, and even if there's good things in their books and good techniques we can try, the problem is they're giving you advice on who does research, how to do research, and they usually don't even tell you how to do research. They say talk to three people, but they don't really tell you how to properly do research. And so you're left guessing what are good questions? How do I find these people? How long should I talk to them? What do I do with the information? And they never give you more information because they don't know. They've never had a research job. Lean startup guy, never a researcher. Marty Kagan, not a researcher. Teresa Torres, not a researcher. Tony Ulwick, not a researcher. And again, maybe these people have some good things that are out there. I'm not saying they're 100% bad or wrong, but I am nervous about a lot of their research advice because none of them have ever had a job being a researcher.
Yeah. Completely.
I want to
Unfortunately,
read
this is going to have.
Ventura's comment that came up on the screen and already went away. Ventura said, my toxic trait in design is believing that if we were to visit more clients and watch their workflows, we'd be more meaningful and or impactful in what we release rather than throwing ideas on the wall or reading X data. But I get that that requires time and proper ground for learning and testing, and it might not pan out. So I get why executives are shy of doing journaling, etc. I guess what I'm trying to say is that we're all focused on short-term gains. Happy to be challenged on this. And Pedro says those are ideas being the lean movement, but it's hurting how orgs take research seriously. Agree. Yeah, I can put what Ventura said back up on the screen to see if you do want to challenge it because Ventura said they welcome a challenge. So give me a second to paste that into my little box and make it bigger. One woman show, everybody, starring Dr. Nick. Okay. If we visit more clients and watch their workflows, we'd be more meaningful and or impactful in what we release. So I think um, I agree with you that there's the potential for that, but the problem is everything that comes between. You're saying if we visited more people and observed them and did some of that early research, we'd be more impactful in what we release. But I feel like there's 5,000 things that happen in a typical tech company between observing a user early in generative or discovery research and eventually releasing something. And there's so many places where anything we did learn from those observations might end up being ignored or bastardized. And so I think your fantasy or dream makes sense. And I have the same fantasy, but then we also have to control for all of the bullshit that's going to happen between good observational research and releasing something. That's how I take what's written here, and that's how I take what you're saying. So it's not that I disagree with you. I like the fantasy, but I think we're forgetting about all the things that happen in between that help people ignore that early research and then eventually decide we didn't need it anyway. Nick, what are some of your thoughts?
My head is on fire right now. I'm trying
I'm
to
sorry.
organize my thoughts because I've got so many thoughts and I just don't want to spam you guys with them
Go
all.
for it. I'll take a drink.
So look, at the top of the shop, we'll talk about top down, bottom up, because what you're really saying is like if we just do some observational stuff instead of this ideation top down stuff, we'll probably build the right thing. And yeah, you will. But the reality check is it's 2026. We're all sitting at home generally or working from home. AI is very much a dominant or omnipresent force in workflows, working lives. And a lot of these discussions, they're old world, if I'm completely brutally honest, right? I mean, you're not wrong, but that world has died a long time ago, and any remnants of it, AI and other bits are just stamping out. So I think what we're really talking about is a fresh look at insight, product development, UX in a AI driven world, because it is a fundamental change. Now, the problem is the control layers are still doing the top down silly stuff. And so we're building the wrong thing faster with AI. And that's not a solution. So the problems are omnipresent, but they are the much more softer skills, political, those sorts of troubles, which I'm really crap at. Yeah. And I
And
can't get the evidence.
we did get a question in through the anonymous universe. So whenever you're done with your thought, I will
Yeah.
add that to. Except my email
Go,
is crashing, so give me a minute. Go ahead.
look, you say I get it requires time and proper ground learning to do that kind of observational stuff, and these days it is that much harder, and it's not that it's really hard to do. But even just getting anybody to do any user testing of any form is like pulling teeth, and it's crazy. It should be if I'm the CEO or CTO or CPO or CXO, I would make it a disciplinary offense for any PM to not be doing that regularly, because it's that crucial. If you're not testing your product regularly, how are you making decisions? And if it's just on your I was going to say 20 something, but that's rude. On your inexperienced, or if you can show me a long track record of brilliant product development that is very, very successful with this method, then great. So, sorry, did I blip out there? I looked, something
I
went
think I
gunky
blipped
there.
out because I'm trying to. My email crashed, and I'm trying to open it again so I can get to the anonymous question that came in. So I think I blipped.
So I hope we got that out. And then finally, the last part of that is about we're all focused on short-term gains. Yes, we are in a commercial world, and we are working for VPs and GMs and other people who have got, you know, guns at their heads too. The problem is that product management is so kind of rabidly feature factoring, thinking that that's the solution, and then building the wrong thing, no product market fit. That we can't fix the problem. We need people to understand that making a good product is about the whole product, not just sticking new things on it. Making better what you've already got moves the needle. It might not give you a marketing thing that you can go, wow, but we've got to get better at marketing. We've new and improved, you know, like they do in all these other industries. I'm selling my 3rd or 50th version of ketchup, but this one's new and improved because it's got X in it or whatever. That's a marketeer's problem. But the product itself and the development on it is the whole product, not just I've got new features for you. Sorry.
No,
Ranty.
beautiful.
True.
Go for it. That's why you're here. Um, Isn't this a symptom of lack of vision by PM or design leaders? I tend to think, we can put this question up. I tend to think, and then we'll get to the anonymous question, which I have ready. So thank you to whoever sent that. I tend to think that lack of vision is a symptom and not the root cause. It feels like the root cause, but there's usually reasons why we don't have a vision, why we don't have a strategy, why we avoid a strategy, or why we keep changing our strategy every other month. So we can say it's lack of vision, but to me that feels very corporate bullshitty a little bit because I want to peel away the layers and say why 3 whys 5 whys whatever it is, keep asking why don't we have vision? What would it look like to have vision? How would things be different if we had vision? I feel like Chris Farley doing the air quotes, if anybody remembers that Saturday Night Live sketch from the early 90s. So what is this vision in air quotes? And I think there are deeper root cause questions we could ask. Nick, something you want to say about that before I put up the other
Yeah, I mean,
question?
yeah, totally. Lack of vision, I get that. But lack of vision, I think, as you said, that's very much symptomatic, not causal. I think there's definitely lack of confidence underneath a lot of this. And that if you had more insight, you'd be able to form a better vision. Now, that's not to say, look, not everyone's a Steve Jobs visionary that in the shower goes, the world needs an iPod, you know, or needs music on the travel, needs music on the road. You know what I'm saying? But you can still have a vision for a ballpoint pen, you know what I'm saying, for the future of this thing. It's usually informed by insight, and otherwise, I don't know. It's more about the quality of your insight generation or your ability to source it than your ability to ideate some kind of magical niche in a market. That's, you know what I'm saying. That's where the ideas and the vision come from. The inspiration comes from the data, not from I'm in the shower and I get hit by lightning, which can happen, but it's just not a reliable methodology.
Yeah, as I say in my upcoming book, and by the way, I have a work in progress cover so I can show you. Um, as I say in my upcoming book, I have an idea at least weekly that I think is freaking brilliant, but that doesn't mean it's going to find product market fit, an audience who gives a shit, anybody who's going to pay for it. Just
Yeah.
because you have thank you, Ventura, just because you have a cool idea doesn't mean it succeeds or anybody gives a crap.
Yeah, but the social media ego effect of today's world means that people are backing their own ideas anyway, and they don't want to hear anybody telling them that their baby is ugly or anything less than perfect. And
Hashtag
unfortunately,
confirmation bias.
yeah, 100%. It's like DIY bootstrapping. They're like pulling their own bootstraps so hard they think they can float. You know, like, and it's like it ain't gonna happen. But hey, you know,
Okay, we have a fresh question that I'm going to read out loud. I know the font's a little small, especially if you're on a phone. And thank you to whoever for sending this in anonymously. This says, I hear business owners speaking broadly of problem solving being the key differentiator between success and failure. UX folks seem to be speaking about the same thing with a possibly narrower focus. Is UX fully flourished a pursuit of building businesses? After all, that's when you have to weigh all the constraints in a direct manner. Am I describing a unicorn? Thoughts? Thanks. Ooh, I
That's a
definitely have an opinion here. Nick,
ooh,
you
yeah.
first.
Yeah, every now and then we get wicked questions. So thank you
It's
for
a
a
great
wicked,
question, Day.
great
Thanks,
question.
everybody.
Yeah. So we're dancing. We're having a happy dance for that one. That was good. Look, what's immediately springs to mind on that is like you're describing Debbie and me 10 years ago, like almost like business consultants, right? Who do research and design. Um, I'm a problem solver first above anything else. That's my UX heritage. That's one of my core abilities that I've got very well tuned is identifying the problem, defining the problem, solving the problem. That's kind of, and I do it whether people want me to do it or not because I can't help myself, right? I insert myself trying to solve and help because that's just what UX folk were or are. Old schoolers, real UXers are. Everything else is detail basically. So yes, to hear business owners speaking broadly about yes, it is important. I don't know if I'd say if it's the key differentiator. I'd say it's definitely a major factor or a big one. Is UX fully building business? Well, if your business is a portfolio of products and services, then you got to think that the yes, UX equals money. So you've got to have your product portfolio and the UX nicely tuned. You also want to have your product portfolio at different stages of maturity and all that good stuff. But the pursuit of building products is about meeting needs. Okay, I'll say that one more time for everyone around the world. The pursuit of building business is about meeting needs. You do that, you build the right products, you have the right portfolio, you have a successful career, you don't need to control narratives or spin or bullshit, and you're just happy. And the world is good.
La.
End of. And you are describing a unicorn in today's money. And that's the second or third time today I've heard the word unicorn used. There's a bit of a meme floating in the LinkedIn air around unicorns, I believe. They used to call us unicorns. And I've never been a unicorn, in my humble opinion. I've worked with unicorns who are like front-end gods, back-end gods, unbelievable designers, and fairly competent researchers. That's a unicorn in my book, right? Like a full-stack engineer with UX. Those guys are absolutely rare as hen's teeth, right? They don't really exist. Unicorn is getting bandied around and get bandied around at me and Deb and other people just because we've put the effort in and we've got skills that they don't, and people go, oh, you're super specialized, you're a unicorn. And it's like, no, I've just put the hours in, that's all.
I just know
That's how I
things.
feel about it. I just know stuff. Yeah.
I
Is
remember
that fair?
2012 when we thought a unicorn was someone who was absolutely a really amazing UX designer, like really knew UX properly and could do the art side of UI stuff. Like to us in San Francisco, the unicorn was the person who could do the UX and the UI because so many of us were either highly specialized in one. You were like super artist, creative director type, or you were super UX, human behavior type, and it was so rare to get someone who could do
Yeah.
both of those.
Yeah.
That was the old
Nice. Yeah.
unicorn. So,
I
if I
remember
could,
those days.
was there anything you wanted to add to this before I jump in?
No, you go for it. But I think that's, yeah, unfortunately, a lot of these chats are old world stuff, but it's totally fair and relevant. So we should talk about it, but it makes me sad for the old days.
I feel you there. Old days when we could get a job. So this is another topic that I am covering in my upcoming Atomic Product Market Fit book. And so the question says, is problem solving the key differentiator between success and failure? Sort of would be my answer because the first what comes before problem solving? problem finding, problem understanding. And Nick just said something similar, so I think we're in agreement here. But it's okay if we're not. But before you can solve a problem, you've got to understand the problem. And that means, in the book, I'm calling it Understanding Experience Ecosystem Dimensions, just to give it a name so I don't have to say on every page. You want to understand people, context, systems, tasks, collaborations, decisions, habits, mental models. You know the list of things that usually we're trying to understand about people and problems when we explore the problem space. And so, um, to me, your first differentiator is, do you even understand the problem space? Or are you working from assumptions, opinions, ego,
Yeah.
um, a feature factory to do list, or what AI said your customers might want? Do you genuinely, have you done the work to really understand these people and all of their dimensions, as I'm calling it in the book, so that we can understand the problem space? Then you've got some shot at problem solving decently or efficiently. If you don't understand the problem space well, a lot of the problem solving ends up being cycles of guesses. Well, how about we do this? Let's A B test that. Oh, people didn't like it. Okay, well, F that. Try something else. Go A B test that. And we end up in what I like to jokingly call, and I think Ventura will enjoy this, continuous failure habits. Instead
Mm-hmm.
of continuous discovery habits, it's just cycles of failure. And amazingly, instead of companies improving this, instead we've tried to make more and more excuses for failure. Failure is
Yeah.
cool. You're going to learn from failure. Failure's how we learn. Let's fail more. And I think now we're just failing all the time. I
That's
think we
the wrong
forgot
kind of
how to
failure.
succeed.
Yeah, that's such the wrong kind of failure. It
Yeah.
really is. Like, yeah, like experiential failure from learning. That's one thing. Like doing the wrong thing repeatedly, like a moron. That's not that dumb. That's not really failure. That's just ongoing stupidity. Sorry, right?
No, yeah,
And the thing is that
it's failure squared.
yeah, it is
That's
failure.
that's going to
Such a
end
good
up one
term.
of my new catchphrases. It's failure squared. We failed. We don't
Make it.
even know why, but we're going to rush out another guess, whether that's a fix or a new design or an A/B test or an experiment, and we don't even know what worked well that we shouldn't change, or what didn't work that we should change, and we're just going to
Yeah.
cycle around again. So I think that whether we call ourselves UX or CX or product, like I'm so over what are we calling ourselves. I just feel like whatever we call ourselves, because titles are a mess, somebody's got to do really good problem finding and understanding and definition and so on, like Nick said. And then you have some chance of solving the problem well. My call before this was to catch up with the always lovely Larry Marine. And a lot of the things Larry says always ring in my head, including he says, if you don't do the right research, you will solve the wrong problem very well. Oh, I blipped
Hang on, we
there.
glitched.
Sorry.
We're back. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I blipped there. I'm on my hotspot today. Pedro says zigzag without logic or based on analytics or a well structured hypothesis. But another thing I point out in my coming book is that a hypothesis is supposed to be based on research. A hypothesis is a foundational potential solution based on knowledge, based on exploring the problem space. It's if we just say out of nowhere, "Oh, I have a hypothesis." Well, that's just an idea or a potential solution. If you really want to try to be scientific-y about it, your hypothesis is supposed to be based on good information, foundational information, good research. And I'm just so tired of everybody imagining that every shitty idea they have is a hypothesis.
It's a nice way to put it.
Yeah,
Yes.
like you can dress it up and put lipstick on it and use Greeky words and Latiny words if you want, but it's still an untested idea that might have come from no understanding of the problem space. And then sometimes they avoid the testing. And so it's like
So,
you've
yeah, look
removed
at it
all
like
the
this, mate.
science from a scientific method.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, sorry, I just dropped my pen and lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Sorry, we're going 100 miles an hour today.
Remind me what we were on, because I'm writing notes down.
I'm
That's the last
everywhere.
point.
We were
Um,
on everything at the same time. I was talking about scientific method and
uh,
hypothesis. Before that,
yes,
exploring the problem
ideas,
space.
idea testing, um, building ideas, assumptions, and all of that stuff. Okay. As Deb very correctly said, like, an idea is usually informed by data or some form of insight. A hypothesis is. Now, if we just substitute the word hypothesis for idea, right? Not all idea. You can have the idea that you go, oh, I think we should build a chocolate teapot. Okay, it's not a great idea, but it's an idea, right? Or I can say, oh, all the data says that maybe I should build a. There's nothing in the market, and I think maybe a ceramic hybrid teapot would be a cool thing. That's a better idea, but it's still an unknown thing, right? It's a hypothesis. It's an idea, but it's based on some kind of insight. Okay, call it like a firmer idea or a supported idea or an idea that seems to have early legs, right? Instead of flight of fancy idea, which is a very different kind of an idea. It can work out. It's just much more risky, right? That's I think the nice, easy way to look at that stuff. But at the heart of all of this is something that I've been preaching for years, which is scientific product management or scientific design, which is a lot of the decisions and the hypotheses that you're testing are not done in any kind of formalized manner. Now, taking Dr. Nick hat off and throwing it away, this is not about academic stuff, okay? And it's not about being too rigorous or over rigorous. It's not about that. But it's about having a Goldilocks amount of rigor that's important for our industry, because it's a commercial industry, and it's a commercial industry where your job relates to how much money you're making for the company. And the validity of insight and the way that you structure your inquiry is all connected. The world doesn't understand this yet, but they will. Well, I hope. Otherwise, I'll be retired or dead. But the point is the way that you go about your work, your research, your insight generation has a fundamental effect on UX and therefore the bottom line. It's just that clear. Now, when you look at some of the really big companies, the financials, the financial institutions, the banks, the pharmaceutical companies, they know this. They know that insight is gold, and they spend lots of money on having either highly qualified individuals or highly experienced individuals as quant analysts or whatever. We're not talking about PhDs and elitism, right? Sometimes I've got people who are, they've just come up through the ranks and are paid a lot of money to be a quant analyst, right? These organizations value and know that there's a correlation between quality or validity of insight and what they report to the markets. Bottom line, we're such an immature industry that we're very, very happy to still live on this kind of, I wanted to use a really rude word there and I can't use it, this cycle of kind of excitement and your idea and my idea, let's all get together and let's not let insight or testing get in the way, and let's just go forward. I love that almost youthful passion. It's great. But but power without direction is pointless, or passion without direction is dangerous. And that's what we're seeing, is a whole generation or lots of people who really don't want to hear from boomers and Gen X's and us lot, right? They want to get excited and play with the new tech and do the cool new stuff. But unfortunately, reality is a casualty. And the only way to fix this is that structure of inquiry. Does that make sense? It keeps everybody safe. It doesn't matter if you're a boomer or an alpha. It keeps us all within a safety world of not truth, but being able to filter signal from noise.
Yeah, Dr. Nick, you're good. If you do read my new book, you're going to feel like you wrote it. And side note, since you're not going to read it, I have a prediction. You are thanked on the acknowledgments page, because I want to thank
Thank you.
you for doing these shows with me and inspiring me to write some of the things that I wrote. Some of it in agreement with you, some of it in disagreement with you. But hey, you inspire me. You inspire the audience, and I want to thank you.
Thank you very much. Honestly, I'm not going to cry, but I feel like I could. That's very touching and really great. I've This is my mission. This is my life's work. And I mean that. That's what I've been standing on and fighting for since day one. And that's what I'll be fighting till the day I die. This is, for
Sames.
me, mission critical. This is more important than everything in the entire world. This is what the world that I want my children to be in. One that's got the excitement and the passion in the right direction, where you guys are learning from us and then doing better than us, superseding us, standing on our shoulders and going further and faster and better, not scrabbling around my ankles looking like idiots. And that's what's happening. And it's upsetting me badly.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm getting a bit...
You know me. I'm going to keep writing books and keep trying to help whoever we can. KB is here. Good to see you, KB. You said you were running errands. Hopefully, you bought all the things you need. I'm going to paste your question into my little hexagon and put it up on the screen. We'll read it out loud. Whoop, wrong button. I did it again. Okay, sorry. I have to press button number 5, not the other button. Okay, button number 5.
I'm freaking out here. My ADHD is like, ah!
I'm so sorry. I pressed merge, which switches screens, instead of 5, which overlays the thing. So, welcome to Debbie runs her own show. Okay, so KB says, if the most critical piece of a successful business is finding the right problem to solve and deriving a solution, and if the promise of UX research is true, that good research leads to good products, should every UX person strive to be a business owner? Are UX research folks applying to businesses so somebody else's idea can fail instead of their own? I phrased that spicy on purpose for the sake of discussion.
Huh. That's a cool question as well. So we'll have a little dance to that as well. That's nice. I like that. That's cool. That's interesting. That's really, really interesting. Okay. I'm just going to kind of freeform. I'm going to try to answer this as best as I can, because I think this is really current to all of us, whether you're senior or junior, right? Our world, like the UX practitioner, is dead, dying, gone, transforming, whatever you want to call that, right? So what's next? Now, your question implies strongly that there's a really strong relationship between UX and business, which there is, and we've already talked about that in previous questions. So what you're really kind of saying here is well, what's the role of a UX folk moving forwards? Or that's what I'm kind of reading in between the lines, right? I see myself in the next few years probably becoming a product person of some variety. Maybe it gets a name like a product designer, product researcher, product architect, product consultant.
I like
product
architect.
Strategist, architect. All of the stuff that we used to do when we were all-in-one UXs, but we're just going to call it product instead of UX. So I'm a product architect, not a UX architect. I'm a product consultant, not UX, right? That's most likely because we've all got the skills to do it. And I don't think any of us want to do product management. So there's a spot there for us. Now, the next evolution from that, or the graduation from that, to talk directly to your point, we've got vibe coding as a very mature, not mature, that's the wrong word, but very viable method. And you've got a whole bunch of people who really, really know how to build the right products, the old school UXs, people like you and me. Well, you've now got a one-man person product machine, right? Or at least a product discovery machine in the very least. And that is incredibly powerful and cost effective. So one of the roles for all of us moving forwards, and I'm exploring this actively right now, is as scouts, the away team, the discovery team, but not discovery like the Teresa Torres, not in that. I mean, discovering product market fit for new products and services, right? Discovering user needs and pain points, because we're brilliant at that, and we can prototype it, and we can test it, and we can build a full stack application that can go to an engineer to harden, make production ready, and you know what I'm saying, and get ready for market. So if this is probably what Debbie is talking about in her new book, I suspect it probably is, because here it is, amazing, beautiful thing. Sorry,
I'm having fun. I made that graphic today.
Right. But I think all of us are probably feeling that, because product management have had a great job. They've had all the time and money, and they've not done a great job. So here we are. It's our turn now. Let's show them how it's done. And I think if we bide our time and play our cards right, this is where it may well go. I hope that. Oh, sorry. One last final thing. If it doesn't go that way, The final thing to the asker's question is, you can now build your own businesses, become your own business owner. Yes, cut your teeth with somebody else's budget and audience and all of that stuff. But once you've got the skills as a UXer or as a product slash UXer, become an entrepreneur, a business owner. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole new skill set as well. But at least you've got the product bit down, and you'll know who to hire and those sorts of things. So it's a nice trajectory. It means we're not all nailed in coffins just yet, despite the world's best efforts to try to do that. With there's life becoming more and more available by the day. It's looking. What I'm trying to say is, I think the world is opening up, not closing down.
Thank you for that. I'm going to add a couple of things to that. Thanks to KB for the question. So I feel like KB is building a bridge between my Life After Tech book and the one I'm releasing next month, Atomic Product Market Fit. So obviously, in Life After Tech, I'm telling you, go start your own business. Go do something. Go do something that isn't tech or corporate, because we don't know how long our jobs are going to last. We don't know if we're going to be empowered. We don't know if we're going to get to do any of the things Dr. Nick is saying. I hope he's right, but we might not. So I am telling people, yes, research, investigate, brainstorm, plant some seeds, try some new things, because you might be done with tech or tech might be done with you. And then in my Atomic Product Market Fit book, which we're still working on, but it'll be out in about 6 weeks, um, I'm taking a product market fit approach really for everybody, whether you are an entrepreneur and you're going to start your own business or you work for a Fortune 20. The advice in the book is the same, because you've got to fit your products and services to your target market. So I would love to see more UX researchers and people with research related skills looking at starting their own businesses. I think you're going to kind of need to if we all end up having trouble finding jobs. But why not have a side income or a side hustle or an additional thing you can do that's yours, that you own, that you control? And yes, use your skills.
Yeah.
For sure. And in the book, I bring in the inexpensive experiments, which some of you have seen the video and article that I did on that. So that's a great idea for service businesses to try out inexpensive things. Like the example I keep giving people, I'm going to grab this business card off my desk, is, what does it cost me to say that my husband and I have a karaoke DJ business? We didn't spend a lot of money to say that we are Pandemonio Party, and we're now DJs that you can hire. I spent a few hundred quid on some equipment I didn't have. We bought uh, business cards. We bought a couple of things. We had our first paying gig last summer, and we're hoping this year will bring more paying gigs. And why the hell not? You know, and why not? And what can I take from my research side of the world? Now, okay, as I mentioned in Atomic Product Market Fit, it's hard for me to go out and do proper UX or discovery research on the karaoke market of Northern Sardinia, because karaoke's been a little out of style here. It's just starting to come back. It's not totally on people's minds, and so it would be hard for me to research that. However, it's inexpensive for me to make up some business cards and spend a few $100 on some equipment and start telling people that we do this and we do it professionally, and see what happens. And if nobody hires us, we had one paying gig and whatever. We almost broke even. But um that's and then but then I can use that, and I can watch how people react. Yeah, I can use my skills when we do a karaoke show. I can watch how people react to our setup, our equipment, the pace of our show, how much we sing and how much we don't sing, because you don't want your DJ singing too much if it's active. The fun little giveaways we've made for people, how do people react to those? The cleanliness of our stuff, that's important when we still have COVID. There's so many things that I can use my observational research skills to see how people are reacting to stuff. Is our karaoke system easy to use? Are we easy to work with? So I think that as people move into some of their own entrepreneurial things, and you should, use those skills. Pedro says, because then KB said, are UXR folks applying to businesses so somebody else's idea can fail instead of their own? I mean, yeah, I'll try to help people with their businesses, but usually can't affect their process. I can give them good research insights, but I can't make them use them. um, Pedro says, I've read this article saying PMs are vertical and designers are horizontal across the end to end user journey. That gives us greater clarity and efficiency in deciding which product best bets are best. That, no offense, but that sounds like another person who wants to put a trademark symbol next to their idea, like product managers are vertical and UXers are horizontal. Buy my new course. That's how it feels to me. Because, like, what can you go and do about that? Remember our old meaningful, actionable, helpful graphic that I used to roll out? Do I still have that? I don't. I think I erased it by mistake. I'm looking in my setup. How is that meaningful, actionable, or helpful to imagine PMs are vertical and designers are horizontal? What does that mean? Nick, back to you.
Just more corporate baloney.
I don't see meaningful, actionable, helpful. I'll have to bring that graphic back. I'll write
Do you
that
know
down.
what? It was probably somebody's like fever dream LinkedIn post. You know what I'm saying? And
They might have had
it was a
AI
good
write
idea.
it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think what they're trying to say is that a PM is kind of specific to a product, and that's the kind of like a vertical spotlight kind of a thing. And I think they're trying to say a UX designer is more lateral in their horizon, if you know what I mean. But it doesn't hold. I don't think it holds. No, I can't see any value in it.
Yeah, because I'm not too sure what to do with that information. If you can say that a designer is more horizontal or spans more of the end-to-end user journey, but my answer would be only if you let
Right.
me, only if I'm empowered to understand the end-to-end journey and design for the end-to-end journey. If a designer is not empowered to think that way, and LinkedIn indeed, if a designer is not empowered to address the end to end journey, and we're just told make the button bluer and move it to the left a little bit so we can A/B test it, then we're not empowered across an end to end user journey. So to me, this still comes back to being empowered in our jobs and on our teams. That's how I'm feeling this, Nick.
Yeah, it just the second sentence in that is, I think, the major red flag. This gives us greater clarity and efficiency in deciding which product bets are best. Are
Why are
you
we
saying
betting?
that it's like, are we betting on the product manager's opinion or the UX
This
designer's
shouldn't be a
opinion?
gamble. If we
Yes,
if
the whole
we're
thing is crazy.
if we're good at the end to end journey and we understand we're doing discovery, we understand the problem space and the experience ecosystem dimensions, as I'm calling them, and then we can try to solve those problems. Why is it a product bet? I got
No,
to
I
write that
understand,
down. My book
but
needs to address why people are
no,
are betting.
no. I mean, have a wider look into it. I've heard this language quite a lot of using bets, and it's in some cultures, some businesses, that it's more of saying like, where am I going to spend my budget, right? Placing bets, or you know what I'm saying. It's not
It
necessarily a
shouldn't
bad
be a
thing.
bet. It should be
I know
based
it.
on strategy.
Yes, of course, and often the betting is part of the strategy. The strategy is, I'm going to build 5 products of which one will be successful, right? You are betting, you're spread betting, or whatever you would call it. You know what I mean? You're hedging your bets a little bit. But look, I mean, you could argue a lot of new product development is betting because you're gambling. It's just how sure a bet, how sure a thing is it, how much confidence have you got in it, brings it all right back. What I'm saying is if we just kind of reword that sentence, it gives us the greater clarity and efficiency in deciding how we should develop our product next, right? That isn't like a PM versus UX designer type thing. That it should be insight driven, and there should be very little, insight plus, I don't know, market factors and other competitive stuff and all the other bits and pieces that go into that. and effort and efficiency in rice and some of the other, but there's other better ways of doing it. Not, you know what I'm saying? It's not a civil war. This is all implying that one of you is right and one of you is wrong, and neither of you are right, and get over yourselves and go find the data. No?
Yeah, I mean, what can we even say to these things? Pager says, I'll share the article with the community later. Yeah, depending upon what it says, I'm sure you can find an appropriate Discord channel for it. Maybe work on my mind, or if it's really shitty, the venting, ranting social posts channel might be right. Nick, I don't want to keep you too late, and I don't see any other questions. If anybody has asked a question, I'm sorry that it hasn't come through yet, and we will have to address it next week. I'm trying to check my spam now, and I don't see any other questions. So, Nick, thank you for joining. I hope we'll see you again as we do. Quick note from KB. KB says, the biggest complaint I see UX people make is their ideas aren't appreciated or respected in the organizations they work in. So it seems to me the answer would be start your own. Yes, I know, easier said than done. And people can't risk everything to go start a business. But it seems to me that should be in the back of someone's mind that they can do it because of the core of business building is identifying and problem solving. Even if you start a business 20 years from now, you're starting to see the world through that lens, the same way someone who gets into UX starts observing the why behind how things are built. Yes, go start your own business. Please read Life After Tech. Nick, last words from you.
Have a good January. We'll see you guys next month for, I guess it'll be Valentine's Day or thereabouts. So yeah, have a good one. Stay safe. Get good with vibe coding. Use Opus if you can afford it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I've been chatting with Opus and I didn't love it for chatting, but I hear it's very good for coding. I'm still
Code,
using
yeah.
Sonnet for coding, and that generally goes well because I can afford Sonnet as well. Thank you, Ventura. Thanks for joining. But I, even though we won't see Nick comes once a month, I do this every Wednesday, so I will be back Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday stream will be we did this a year ago where we tested Claude as a researcher in a live chat with me, interviewing me. And now that it's a year later, we're going to test Claude again and have it interview me. Nick.
I've got an idea for you because I did this a couple of weeks ago. Whatever. Get it to pretend to be you and give you advice as if it was you, Debbie Levitt. As I did it as Dr. Nick, and then see what sort of advice it gives, whether it would tally up with what you would actually say. And I've got to tell you, fake Dr. Nick was garbage. Like you definitely can't follow his advice.
No, I
Right?
already
It
know
might look
fake
good and
Debbie is
sound good.
garbage. And also, Claude has no training on me, so it can't pretend to be me. But I ask it to pretend to be a UX researcher, and I give it a topic, and I say, I'm the participant, you're the researcher. These are your goals of what you're trying to learn. Ask me questions, and I see how it does in asking questions or follow up questions and how it does a quick analysis of that. Because I'm still hoping to prove that we need humans to do it. But part of that is letting Claude try and seeing is it any good at pretending to be a UX researcher. And so we'll be testing that on Tuesday, the first anniversary of the last time we tested it.
What I am literally betting my career on is that all of that discovery, market researchy, interviewee, survey type stuff is all going to be AI'd within minutes. And PM will be happy with it. Will it be great? No. Will it be good enough? Not really sure, but it's going to happen anyway. Where our focus and value is in the behavioral, in the user testing, because you're not going to get the nuggets that you need. You've all heard me say this for many, many years now, and now I'm being proven true. The nuggets that you get from evaluative user testing are often as big or bigger than the ones you're going for in discovery phases. It will now start to make sense to you all. Trust me, this is why continuous discovery is killing everyone. If you do user testing regularly, you're going to learn things that you didn't even mean to find out, but you're going to find out anyway, and they will blow your mind and improve your product and your career. End of.
Cool. Well, then I'm going to start our closing music. Nick, see you again in a month. See everybody else Tuesday for testing Claude as a researcher, and Wednesday for another Ask Me Anything that I'll do alone. Thank you so much, Nick, and catch everybody next week. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.